Confronting high credit card debt can feel scary, but the good news is, if you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, financial relief options are now available. National Debt Relief is currently offering debt relief designed to reduce what you owe and put you on the fast track to becoming debt-free. If you qualify for debt relief, you may be able to pay back less than what you owe and save thousands of dollars. Just visit nationaldebtrelief.com. Imagine only paying one low monthly program payment you can afford and saving money as you become debt-free. National Debt Relief has already helped bring debt relief to over 550,000 U.S. consumers, earning thousands of five-star reviews and an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau. You're stronger than your credit card debt. Let today be the day you start turning things around. Take the first step and visit nationaldebtrelief.com to see what debt relief you may qualify for. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Picture this. You just logged into old school RuneScape. You're taking in the views and you think to yourself, what am I going to accomplish today? Well, for me, that was obvious. There was one grind. I'd seen the horror stories on Reddit, but now it was my turn. The corrupted Gauntlet.
Welcome to episode 200 and is it 60? I think it's 267 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm Dills, and join with me as usual. Can I still say that? Is Trey?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It's been a hot minute. I was trying to. It's been a hot minute since we've been at the Smasher Pass Labs. We've recorded a few little ditties between. It was like back in September that we did it. So we recorded a few little ditties since then, but this is our first time back in a while since we did our Smasher Pass series. So if you don't know, we were doing like the Smasher Pass series where we go through, we've been working through every single boss in the game, and we're talking about whether we will smash or pass. I don't think it's a sexual thing. I think it's more of like, are we okay with the boss or what? Are we vibing with the boss? Maybe that's the better way to put it. So we've been through a whole whack of them. Maybe we'll tee the ones up that we've already done. But this episode, we are talking about everyone's favorite, the Gauntlet. Yay. The Nightmare of Ashiyama, another fan favorite. Nex. Everyone loves Nex. And the Revenant Maledictus. People probably don't even know what that is. Some people might not know what that is. That's the Rev boss. There's a Rev boss out there. So we got... a lot of these bosses aren't like everyone's favorite for one reason or another, and we'll kind of get into that, but they are kind of cool bosses, so it'll be fun to get into it. But before we do that, Trey, it has been a hot minute, and so much has been, we haven't slowed down our RuneScape, and we've still been going hard. What have you been up to? What's new? You have your main that was maxed until Sailing came out. I don't think you've jumped back on it, but you've pivoted over to an iron like a couple years ago, and you've been playing RuneScape.
Yeah, I have a friend I was talking to, and they were asking me, about my iron, and I'm progressing it, and I was telling them how I'm on this grind right now. So right now, my goal, we're recording this in mid-April. My goal is to have 99 agility and 99 rune crafting by June.
Whoa. Yeah,
it's brutal. It's brutal. But, I saved those two for last on my main. And it's interesting. I think that a lot of people say don't leave the worst skills for last when you're maxing. And I think that's a good thing to say. But for me, it was necessary because that I needed the momentum of knowing that those were last to get through these skills. But this time around, it's a little bit different, and so I'm wanting to just knock them out.
So you're planning to max?
Yes,
on iron.
Yeah. So I guess going back to what I was saying, I was talking to a friend of mine who's kind of newer to the game, and they were like, "Why are you maxing? Why aren't you doing PvM? All that kind of stuff." And I was just like, I don't know. I have to max. I just have to. I don't get it. I don't know what the compulsion is within me, but I just have to do it.
I was watching a documentary about beavers the other night, and when they hear running water, they don't know why. They just have to plug it. Is that like you with maxing? You get on an account and if a skill's not at 99, there's just something built into your DNA that has to grind it out to 99.
I do. I mean, yeah, it's that I feel that way about the quest cape. I feel that way about the diary cape, the music cape. Like it really bothers me to have these like unfinished things. And so my biggest fear is that I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to max the iron and then I'm going to be like, this is the only reason I play the game. Now I have to start another account. But I'm hoping with an Iron Man, it'll feel different. Because with my main, it was, I don't know, it just felt like I had nothing left to do. But I'm really hoping like with my iron, I'll do a lot more post-max PvM. Like I do want to get back to PvM. And like this morning I woke up and I was just like, I have to kill something. And I didn't. I just did. Well, I did kind of. I did some clue scrolls and that was good enough. And then I got back to agility.
Those some violent feelings to wake up with. To wake up, you're like, I need blood on my hands.
Sunday morning and I want to murder. But you know, it's a weird thing. Iron it's very different from a main because there's certain bosses, a lot of the bosses that I would like to go do just for fun, just to do a few KC, I'm, you know, kind of done with. And that is a thing where iron is very different from main, you know, like something like Kraken, not like a good example of something I want to go do, but you know, I got the 2 drops from Kraken that are useful and now I never have to go back there again, really. And pretty much almost every Slayer boss, I'm at that point. You know, I've finished like a Raxor and Sire, nice. And you know most of the big Slayer boss drops. And
when you say you finish them, it's because you've got like the weapons and gear that you need. You don't care about the pets or like the collection log items that don't really have any uses, like maybe a jar or something, right? Yeah, like not. I have the items, you know, from like on an iron. I have the items that I need to do other content, you know, and I'm hoping post max I can get rid of that compulsion and I will be fine going back just pet hunting or something. But it is hard, you know, it's this self-imposed thing and it's a real big problem with this game, this feeling of I should be somewhere when it's, you know, we're just playing for fun and whatever. But going to do, I don't know, Zulrah or something because it sounds fun as opposed to where my account, quote unquote, should be, which would be like Doom or Raids or something. It's hard. It's a hard thing. And I just have to reach that. You know, I really like certain content creators like Mudkip or something, you know, those, or like Mr. No Sleep or those people who just do these grinds just because they want to. And they don't really, you know, like Mr. No Sleep is the one who he did these crazy grinds for years and years with the fire cape. And, you know, got clowned on it all the time. And he didn't do Infernal until last year when, you know, just when he wanted to. And so like just avoiding that compulsion of like doing, you know, what I have to do. And because, yeah, it's like I should be getting all 3 mega rares and then I can do pet hunting and stuff because that would be the most efficient thing to do. But that doesn't sound very fun. So I don't know. So it's one of those things you'll just have to wait to see how you feel after you max, eh? Yeah, I mean, or I'll just drop the iron completely and try to max a UIM. Who knows? It is funny, like there's not a lot of things we do in this game because they're fun. Like Castle Wars is dead because there's like, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that like are in this game just for fun and nobody touches them because there's no reason to. Yeah. And I'm kind of doing something similar in my main. Like I'm just kind of grinding out collection log items. Like if I have a boss that has an item I need to unlock, then I'm going to kill it. If I get like a Slayer task or something, I'm just going to kill it. But once I get that green log, I'm like, yeah, I'm done completely. I'm never touching this boss again. And some bosses, it's kind of sad to like never have to touch them again. But this is the beauty of, I like to account swap. Like I like to jump between my accounts. So I've got my iron, and I've got my main, and I got a bunch of other ones. But the iron and my main are my 2 main ones. And I was playing my iron a bunch. Like if we go back like a year ago, I was playing it like crazy. And then something just happened and I switched over to my main. But I have this feeling of like, even if I finish a boss and I never get to touch it again, that's going to make me so much more excited. It's going to make my iron that much more fun that I get to go revisit this content. And I'm like, oh, you know, I can't even think of a boss. Scurious, like I green logged Scurious within 5 kills. And I got all the achievements and everything. And I was like, oh, I'm a little bit sad because I was still like kind of getting familiar with the boss. Now I have no reason to do it. But my iron, I can get back on out there. That's a bad example. It's not really much to get from Scurious. But anyways. Yeah. Yeah. What a fun game.
It's weird. It sounds so bad and degenerate to say, like, I don't even know why I play this. I just have to. I don't. It's
You're
weird.
that beaver that hears the running water. And you're like,
I know.
I just gotta play. So do you know what it is? Do you know what's in your DNA that's getting you that makes you want to max? Like, some people do it because they want the max cape because it's the best cape in the game. I guess the other people doing it just because they just really care about skilling. They maybe don't care about PvMing, so they just want to get those stats maxed out. Do you know what it is that's like in you that's making you compelled to max again?
That's an interesting question. It's definitely not, and just to dissuade this, it's not because the max cape is like for the utility of it, because I think that's one of the most overrated things. Like, obviously the max cape is busted, but at the end of the day, really what it's doing is saving you an inventory spot, because 99% of what you're using your max cape for is your crafting cape and your construction cape. So you're saving one inventory space between those two items. Like, it has a lot of other functionality, but they're much more niche. It's like a holy wrench and one stamina re-up and stuff, and not very useful stuff. But for me, it's I don't know. I think it's just that when I start an account, I see this fresh slate, and it feels like I need to tick these things off one by one. It's always the quest cape and then the diary cape and then the maxing of it. And anytime I do PvM, because I think it's partially because PvM and clues are two areas of the game that I will likely never complete. So the areas of the game that I can complete, I do that. I want to do that first. So I have, from max to the server shut down to try to work on clues and PvM. But, skilling is something that is completable, at least the 99s. The collection logs surrounding skilling. Well, I'm at the monkey agility course right now. So, there's some green logs in skilling as well that I'm working on. But
nice.
I don't know. I think like it's kind of like I was saying with the maxing overall. It's kind of more of just knocking out the easier stuff first, so that all I have left is the harder stuff. And I don't know. I don't know. I just got to do it. I can't really explain it. I just have to.
Is there any chance that as soon as you max in your iron, you're going to be making a UIM the next day and doing it all over again?
Yeah, there is a big chance of that, because that's exactly what happened on my main. Oh yeah, I mean, I keep saying I hope that there's a better game mode by the time I max my iron, because I don't really like UIM, and not like because they don't. I just don't. I really don't like all the death piling and stuff. I don't want to.
Brutal.
I don't want to put a mega rare in the hands of Jagex's. I don't want to put it on the ground and have some weird mechanics and lose it off of something like that.
UIM Loki, he's a YouTuber and was doing that. Like with UIM, if you don't know, UIM, you have no bank. So to get around that, you end up doing all these weird janky RuneScape things so that you can have like stashes of items. And one of them was it not death banking, but piles. You can like suicide or something, and then you have an hour worth of time for your items on the ground. And then he was doing that, and I think he just got mixed up or distracted and lost track of time, and he lost like crazy amount of items.
Yeah,
on a UIM. And
it's horrible.
I don't like that stuff either. I have a UIM. It's like a skiller. It's a weird, not 10 HP account, but I purposefully won't do a lot of their tricks because I don't like it. I'll use the death banks where you die at a Spori or Zulrah or something, and you store a bunch of your items in the death chest there, which is also very sketchy, but you're not on a timer, so it feels a bit better.
Yeah, I would be really interested in if they ever made a hardcore UIM, because that would essentially, to me, would be UIM the way it was meant to be played, because you couldn't do death piling, you couldn't do death banking, all that kind of stuff.
I don't know why they haven't. I remember they talked about it years and years ago, and it just seems like such an easy game mode to include, but I don't know why they haven't. I'm surprised they haven't.
I don't know why hardcore was ever its own game mode. I feel like hardcore should just be a variant of every game mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows? Okay, so you're maxing the iron. That's a lot of fun. I don't know if there's anything else going on in your account that you want to share, but there is a lot going on in RuneScape, and I wanted to see how you felt about some of the upcoming or stuff that dropped in between our little hiatus, our Smash or Pass hiatus. Anything that you want to anything else going on in your account you want to talk about?
Can I talk about my recent obsession?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, okay. I know I've mentioned it to you before. I mean, just like in passing about this Stellar Dawn Mechscape thing.
Okay. All right.
I have to talk about it because I'm obsessed.
Okay. You're obsessed. Can't get them. Okay. What is a Stellar Dawn? Yeah.
So Stellar Dawn is a basically sci-fi RuneScape that Jagex was working on in like 2010, 2011 and ended up scrapping. And it was, it was a lot closer to RS3, but it initially got scrapped. It's dead in the water forever probably.
Yeah.
But I don't know, for some reason I just got it in my head that if they did a sci-fi version of RuneScape of old school with the same mechanics and everything, but with a sci-fi world, some changes, that it would be very, very cool. And so I've just been obsessed with that. That's like all I've been talking about to anybody recently.
All right. And you did a whole podcast, another podcast talking about this idea, right? Okay. So you've got this whole thing fleshed out. And if people are like, were around when that Stellar Dawn was like, the concept of it was kind of popping up. Another name it went by was Mechscape. I remember hearing that. Yeah. Okay. So what is your what exactly are you so obsessed with?
So I've always been, I just think that RuneScape is such a unique game, like the way that you play it, the mechanics and everything. And it's just crazy to me that nobody has really copied it. Like I can't think of another game that feels like RuneScape as far as like the actual playing of it. And I don't know. It's a popular enough game. I feel like, World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy, have been like, copied to death. And I just think it's weird that RuneScape has never do you know of any other game like that has this point and click feel to it that, with like a tick system and everything?
Yeah, like not quite. I know there's things that take heavy inspiration when it comes to like the skilling of old school RuneScape. There's this game that came out way back, and it definitely, you looked at it and you're like, okay, this is like, this guy played RuneScape a bunch, but the game never really went anywhere. I don't know what happened with it. And I remember people used to say New World had that feeling, but with this, again, it's always the skilling. So I don't know. So I think that it's there with the skilling that are people trying to emulate, but not so much with like the pacing or the clicking. And
I know it's weird. I like don't get me wrong, RuneScape is like old school RuneScape. It's a bad game. Like we say that all the time, like it
janky.
All of the it's so janky and it's not a fun. I mean, we literally just said we play it because we feel like we have to, not because we enjoy it. But we do play it, and a lot of people play it, and it's just kind of weird to me that as much as the video game industry, just rips off each other constantly, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's crazy to me that this kind of feel of game hasn't. No, I don't even know of anything that's tried to replicate it. And yeah, like you're saying, it's always like, oh, it feels that way with the grindiness. But I'm talking about like just the pointing and clicking of it.
It is weird. So I'll let you continue pointing in a minute, but I just want to jump in real quick because I've been, my son's 4 years old now, and I've been starting to show him like some video games, and I'm showing him the games that like I grew up with. So I'm taking him back to like the Super Nintendo. We're playing through like the Donkey Kong Country games. Those are so friggin' hard, by the way. Like, what the hell? So hard. All the Super Nintendo games are so friggin' difficult. And then I was showing him some GameCube games, Nintendo 64. And then I was showing him RuneScape. And he's seen RuneScape before, but now that he's been playing other games, I wanted to show him RuneScape and just be like, hey. And he was like, it's so interesting to hear how kids think because they have such a different way of looking at the world. And he was saying, like, he was asking about RuneScape and the controls, and he was basically saying, like, I'm going to paraphrase into like a more like an older vernacular or whatever, but he was basically saying it's cool with RuneScape. You don't move your character. You tell your character to move. Whereas all the other games he plays, you move your character. And I was like, oh shit, to him, I was on my phone. So tapping and then he goes to attack. To him, it was like, you're not attacking. You're telling your character to go do these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I guess you kind of are. Like, I'm not drinking the potion. Maybe I'm just telling my character to drink the potion. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. It blew my mind a little bit, but
yeah, it's weird. It's like it's almost like equal parts, just like a MMO, like like World of Warcraft, and equal parts like RTS, where you just click on, go tell your guy to attack.
Yeah. So you're thinking this new Stellar, or not this new Stellar Dawn, but if this reimagined Stellar Dawn could work in the ways that it's like, it has the engine, I don't even know how to explain it, but like, yeah, the click to move, the tick system, which a lot of people feel is janky, and people look at the combat and they think it's like simple they're looking at it from very surface level, but I think we all know that like the tick system that we have, it really, you gotta get creative, and like you can really like there's a really high skill ceiling because of all the stuff you can kind of do within the system. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
If you know, I hope you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the pitch is basically that it would be borderline a reskin of old school RuneScape, but the cool thing about it, besides it being like a completely different universe, is that the fact that it would be a clean slate. And so a lot of the things that Jagex has learned in the past, 25 years of RuneScape and 12 years of old school RuneScape, they could implement from day one. So we don't have this feeling that we had with old school, which is very, it is, we've seen a lot of examples of in this Smash or Pass series of how things have changed over time and how these old bosses feel so different from these newer bosses.
It's like when you look at Varlamore versus, I don't know.
Yeah, just something, just something as simple as doing a quest, like an old quest, and they say, oh, you need a knife for this. You have to go back to your bank, as opposed to the newer quest, it'll just be on the table next to you.
Yeah.
When you need a knife, all that quality of life. Or, the other big example I like to use is smithing. Like Andrew Gower never thought people were going to get a 99, and now it's like the standard to max. And so like putting into the skill progression, knowing that people are going to go to 99, it helps you kind of plan ahead a lot more. So like that clean slate of tailoring the game to what the players are actually going to do. So those are kind of the two things that are really interesting about it to me. And this is fully just a thought experiment. And like I said, it's just something I've just been obsessed with because I think it's just a fun idea. But I don't think it's ever actually going to happen. I'm not flying to Europe to go pitch it to them or anything. I just have to talk about it because it's my obsession right now. I promise I won't keep bringing it up. I won't be like the Mechscape truther or anything, but
it's a Mechscape podcast and people are listening like, this game doesn't even fucking exist. What are you guys talking about?
I know. Well, yeah. And it's really hard not to be like, oh, and when we do this, it's like, no, if everything is if or not. It's not even if. It's like, that would be cool, but it's never going to happen. It's fine. But I don't know. I've just been on a big sci-fi thing. I went and saw Project Hail Mary. That movie ruled.
Was it good? Yeah.
Huge recommend for anybody. Yeah, it was awesome. Nice. And then the new Dune movie's coming out. So I don't know. Sci-fi has just been a big.
I saw Super Mario Galaxy. That's sci-fi, right? That was pretty good. They were in space.
What was it?
Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh, yeah,
they were in space.
So, anyways, yeah, I'll stop talking about it. I just wanted to mention it because it's RuneScape related, and it's been a big part of my what's in my head recently.
Okay, so when you're thinking of Stellar Dawn in your head, there's like almost like I'm not super into sci-fi, but it feels like there's like two types of sci-fi. There's sci-fi, and it's got like it's super far in the future, and then there's like sci-fi. It's like Dune is like this, where it's like medieval stuff. Like they still have swords and shit. Like Warhammer 40K is kind of like this too, where you got like, so the technology's there, but there's still, for whatever reason, they got like swords and all that sort of stuff. So it's almost like, yeah, it's like a mixture. It's like a sci-fi fantasy. I guess that's what it's blending. Well, what do you picture Stellar Dawn as?
Okay, so I have two answers for this. But the first answer is a question for you. Is Dune science fiction?
Yeah. It can't be science fiction and fantasy though, right? Is that what you're saying? It has to be one or the other?
So this is a very nerdy, like we're going to go down the rabbit hole. So Star Wars is not science fiction. Dune is not science fiction, but Star Trek is science fiction.
Right.
And
what is Star Wars then? Is that fantasy?
yeah, it'd be space fantasy or space opera, and the same space fantasy. And the reason that is, and this isn't like any, this is my rule. And I think I would say it's a commonly accepted. I don't know. But the science fiction is science taken to a fictional level. And another key component of science fiction is that is a continuation of our current reality. So in Star Trek, there is an Earth, and Earth is where the humans came from, and they eventually left that. And so obviously in Star Trek, you have the warp core, which is the big like fiction part of it. And that allows them to go out into these worlds where these fictional things exist, right? But the idea is that it is a continuation of our current reality that comes from Earth. Whereas Star Wars and Dune are in a completely fictional world with different planets, different universes and stuff. And I mean, if there was something in there, and maybe there's something deep in the lore of either one of those to where, Earth is, light years and light years away. And I guess, they say Star Wars is in a galaxy far, far away. So maybe you could call it that. But that's the key difference for me, is that science fiction is our current world with our current science taken to the next level of a fictional reality. Whereas Dune and Star Wars are a completely separate, it's a fantasy. It's a completely made up world.
Interesting.
That is a super like nerd hole. Anyways, so the second answer to my question is, if you take old school RuneScape with that same question, is it Arthurian, much more grounded medieval fantasy, or is it, some like Brandon Sanderson, like, crazy high fantasy? Well, the answer is both, right? I mean, you literally have King Arthur in this game, but then you have crazy shit like the DT2 bosses. And so I don't see any reason why Stellar Dawn couldn't be the same way. I mean, one of my favorite things, I've talked a lot about bringing the mechanics of old school RuneScape, but also I would love another game, something else that RuneScape has or other people don't replicate as well as old school RuneScape does, is the tone. I love the tone of old school and the way that, everything is just kind of silly and nothing's ever too serious. Everything's it's a little bit ridiculous. It's always a little self-aware. Quest like one small favor or something. And I just love the tone. So I feel it could be the same way with, another version of that, like a sci-fi version where, you could have astronauts and very like Project Hail Mary type of near future sci-fi. And you can also have some like crazy Dune stuff.
Now, my next question would be, there's got to be like some sort of magic equivalent. How is that going? How have you been thinking about that?
So, okay, that's really interesting. So, and I guess we haven't right out and out said it, but this is, I went on the Sebe cast and talked about this.
I was going to say, so I listened to it. I guess.
Did you listen to the whole thing?
Not the whole thing, but I was listening to it. I'm still listening to it.
Right.
But I hadn't got into your magic system part yet. But I know you guys had talked about it. I might have seen the chapter or something. I can't even remember. But and I know there's so many different, like the way magic could, you have like the Force from Star Wars. And oh my God, I lost it. What was the other one? Oh, like Mass Effect. What is it? Don't they have some sort of magic, or is it just like augments? Sometimes you just get augmented with like robot parts. It's like, that's your magic. It can, whatever. So I was curious to hear what the magic system was that you were thinking.
Yeah. So one of my favorite things about science fiction in general, or actually just science, like actual science, is things that have always been seen as magic being discovered by science as just like, essentially just figuring out how what we think is magic scientifically works. In my headcanon for RuneScape, even like the runes have some sort of scientific explanation for how they work. There's some kind of add some kind of molecular reaction when you use your runes that shoots fireball from your hands or whatever.
What's really cool, just a little fun fact about old school RuneScape is there's like, what is it, 5 ages or something in old school RuneScape, and we advanced to the age we're in now when the rune altars got discovered. So like, yeah, discovering runes was like the separator that advanced us to the next age. Sorry, keep going.
So and the reason I bring up the Sebe that we went on there is he actually kind of pushed back on the magic, and he gave me this interesting idea of the idea that we discover that, because I once again, going back to my science fiction thing, I wanted the Stellar Dawn to start from Earth. So it could be quote unquote true science fiction. That's just me being a nerd. But he was talking about making an extenuation of Gielinor and having it come from our RuneScape world. And so what the cool idea that came from that is the idea that the thing that we discover is that whatever makes up rune essence is some kind of element or material that, as opposed to just being quote unquote, just a magic stone, is all it is some kind of material that allows you to imbue it with a certain type, like different types of energy. And the runes, the rune essence is actually what eventually propels us to space travel. We learn to imbue like super energy into it. And so,
the
fast forwarding to
flow. It reminds me of Doom with the spice. I like that.
Oh, that's such a good idea. Yeah, it's like the spice from Dune, because it's this like trippy magic thing, but everybody wants it just because it allows space travel. Ooh.
Cool. But
I really, really like
for
that.
space travel, you need one person who knows how to use the magic. Maybe they study it from the old ways, and they can guide them through space, because not normal people do. You need someone who can do it, and you can call them the navigator. And they come from these homes and like these families where you're like learning through whatever. You just learn them, and then this is Warhammer 40K stuff. But I thought it would be cool if you.
I think that's a Dune thing too.
You know what? I think Warhammer and Dune have very similar things.
Yeah, because in Dune they have the navigators of their ships are like they become like not even human anymore because they're so imbued with the spice.
Yeah, and it's similar with the warp, which is what that's how you like fast travel in Warhammer 40K. You need these psychers that have they have like a third eye that they see out of. Because I think when Warhammer came out, it was like a bit of a parody. It's kind of like what RuneScape is, where it still doesn't take itself too seriously, but it was like a parody of sci-fi stuff. And I think even Dune was a parody of something when it was written. I can't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
Well, I'm really glad I'm talking to you about this, because I feel like No. I love science fiction, and I'm pretty knowledgeable on most of the big tentpoles of science fiction, except for Warhammer 40K. And I feel like there's so much lore with Warhammer, and it's cool to have that flavor added into it.
Okay, so in the grim darkness of the far, far future. Go
on. Okay, so I guess going back to answer your question, in Stellar Dawn, initially, my magic system was entirely technology, so instead of ice barrage, you would have like a stun ray that you could send out or something out of your mech suit.
Yeah.
But now adding in this kind of rune essence element to it, I think it would still be technology, but it would be the technology that's augmented by essentially different types of essence. Like you could have like gravity runes, or much more like sci-fi type of stuff, like seismic runes or something. But it would still feel that same way of, because that's one of the like 10 commandments of this pitch, is that I want combat and the combat triangle to feel exactly the same, because I think that's one of the things that makes RuneScape so cool and unique. And so, your ranged is basically your guns, right? And then melee is like your like lightsabers and chainsaw blades and your mechanical fists and stuff. Yeah. But then your magic is like your utility, like your like gravity rays and stunning, and essentially all the same things we already have. And that's why I kind of say this is a reskin, because it would still all feel the same, but same but different kind of a thing. But yeah, adding in the idea of this rune essence powering all of that. And I also just, the door is wide open to all kinds of alien tech. Like I love the idea of, you're having a mech suit that just has like this like alien goo on it as well, that, you can have like a robot arm and a tentacle arm at the same time.
Cool.
That kind of stuff. But anyways, this is the part where I get really excited about it, and then I realize it's never going to happen, and then I get
never
sad.
say never. Maybe there's someone who's listening, and they've got like billions of dollars, and they're like, you know what? I'm going to assemble a team. But then it's just all AI models, and it never gets done.
I do know from our comment section that Jeff Bezos does listen to the podcast.
Nice.
So Jeff, my good friend Jeff, if you want to make Stellar Dawn, hit me up. We'll make it happen.
Cool. Yeah, it's exciting. We'll get them on the show too. And you guys we'll find investors using the podcast. That sounds like a business savvy.
We'll have to. We'll get a translator for the lizard language, but we'll make it work.
Find a way. Okay, great stuff. that is super interesting. We'll have to hear more about it. Yeah, I don't know. As you, I was going to say we have to hear more about it as you develop more of the. I'm not sure how.
I'm not gonna lie. I was at work this past week trying to think of what I was trying to pitch raids in my own head. So there probably will be more.
Cool. Do you know what World Anvil is?
Is that the a DMing tool to make your worlds?
Sort of. Yeah. It's like a world building. A lot of people use it for D&D, but it's just you make your own wiki. So you would make a wiki for your Stellar Dawn, and then you could have a section for the raid, and it you slowly build out your own made up wiki for this idea. It seems kind of cool, kind of complex and stuff. But anyways, doesn't matter. We'll hear more about it. But Trey, we do have some bosses to talk about. Should we do some smash and passing, smash or passing, or I guess smash and passing? You can do both.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So we are doing our 4 bosses for today for this Smash or Pass episode. And I mean, if we really need it, people might be wondering, what's with this huge gap? That's a terrible idea. Well, Trey, you actually pitched, and I thought it was a pro strat. If we had a marketing manager, they would have been like, you guys are on fire. That's a fire idea. And you said, let's just take a huge 6-month gap, let Jagex release a bunch of bosses, and we'll just keep doing that. And then we never have to plan any other content. We can just keep doing Smash or Pass for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, we ran the numbers, and we have mathematically formulated a release strategy with the proposed releases of bosses, and the formula will allow us to do this indefinitely. It has nothing to do with, our personal lives or being busy or anything. This is all calculated. You thought we were playing checkers, but we've been playing chess this whole time.
It's a science-backed plan. And I can see nothing going wrong with it. We've drank in sperm since the last time we recorded a Smash or Pass episode. Not personally. Well, I mean, I haven't personally.
Speak for yourself.
Okay. And but in the game, I think we both have twice.
Yeah.
I think you do it twice in that quest. That's the cow quest. Anyway, so let's just do a little refresher. So we've been doing this Smash or Pass, and we've got, there's a lot of bosses to get through, and we've gone through a fair bit already. We're going in we're going in the order that they were released in the game. So I'm just going to go run through the ones we've already done in order that we did them. So we have the King Black Dragon 2002. That's how long ago we started. We have Calfight Queen, Barrows Brothers, Jad, the Fire Cape, Dagonoth Kings, all 3 of them, Chaos Elemental, Giant Mole, the God Wars bosses, Commander Ziliana, General Grardor, Krill Sutzeroth, and Kree Ara. And then we've done the Wildy bosses, which is Callisto, Vedion, Venenatus, and their solo parts. We've done the Chaos Fanatic, Crazy Archaeologist, Scorpia, Kraken, Thermonuclear Smoke Devil, Corp, Zulrah, Serb, Sire, Skotizo, Obor, Chambers of Zarek, Zuck, Deranged. This was a bad idea. I don't know. I thought this was going to go smoother. Just listing them all, but there's a lot. Deranged Archaeologist, Grotesque Guardians, Warcath, Bryrophyta, Theater of Blood, Alchemical Hydra, Hespori, the Mimic, Seracnus. Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. I thought that was a good idea at first.
Was that all of them?
That was all of them.
I think did you miss one? Could you go over them again?
No. I don't know if I can. We don't have time for that. But what I can do is talk about the 4 that we are going to be doing, which is, I mentioned it earlier, it's the Gauntlet, Nightmare of Ashiyama, Nex, and Revenant Maledictus. Okay, a little sip of water. So let's start off with the Gauntlet. Everyone's favorite. What's not to love about the Gauntlet? So the boss itself is actually the Crystalline Hunlif. Oh, that sounds right. And the Gauntlet is like, it's a gauntlet. No, you go in there naked with no items, and you got to craft your own gear and kind of get everything yourself within the gauntlet. They try to make it like this roguelite system where you pop into it. There's like a bunch of different rooms, and they're different every time, and they swap around. So you never really know where your resources are going to be or where the weapons are going to be, and yada, yada, yada. It's different every time. It is. And then after a certain amount of time, you get teleported to the boss room and you got to fight the boss. I just say a certain amount of time because there's the Gauntlet and then there's the Corrupted Gauntlet. And the Corrupted Gauntlet is a harder version of the Gauntlet with better rewards. Well, yeah, better rewards. And you do have to be quicker with it as well. The boss is nothing too special. What's there to say about the boss? It just alternates between melee, or not melee. It alternates between range and mage, and it's got a few special attacks, like it shoots tornadoes that follow you around. There's the one called like the disco floor, because like the floor lights up and you don't want to step on it. Yeah, pretty much it. The items you get from it are, dare we say, I don't even know if controversial is the right word, but there are some good items you get from it. You get the enhanced weapon seed, which turns into the blade of Saildor or the bow of Ferdinand, the Bofa. And then you can get the crystal armor seed, which turns into your crystal armor, which is your body, helmet, and legs. And when that's paired with your crystal bow, it's going to do additional damage, or it has additional accuracy. It's got some buffs to it. And then there's the crystal weapon seed as well, which turns into just like your regular crystal bow or your crystal halberd and your crystal shield. I think you can just buy one of those anyways. So it's not super special, but hey, it is what it is. Am I missing anything before I go into my quick notes, and then I'll see what your thoughts are about the Gauntlet?
Did you mention that the entire thing is timed?
Yeah, so it is. Yeah, it's timed. I did mention that you get teleported after a certain amount of time, but yeah, it is timed. Yeah, let me go through my notes. It's like the first time you do it, it's kind of cool. You're like, oh, this is like a roguelite system where, you know, the layout's different and you never know what's going to be in the room. But then after, you know, you're going to grind it a bunch and it quickly feels it's the same shit every time. It is different, but it's like not exciting different. The only difference is sometimes you'll get more annoyed because the rooms kind of suck maybe. What I do like about it though is that there's no gear needed. So like if you get hacked or something, you can pop right in there, get scammed or whatever it is. You can just go in naked. A lot of people rush that on like an iron because it's simple. And I like that it's not like based on how much money you have because you go in naked. Like there's a lot of combat achievements in this game that I look at and I go like, okay, I'm not even going to try to do that until I have an extra 500 mil to buy a bunch of gear for it. Whereas with the Gauntlet, really the only thing you can do is level up your skills. And then it's really about how good you are, which I do really like that. But negatives, the boss room is super claustrophobic. So like you're having to move around a lot. And I just think that it's just so small. I just fucking hate fighting the boss there. I don't like any bosses where you have to count. There was an era where Jagex came up was like, this is so innovative. What if we make them count to like 3 or make them count to 4 and then switch prayers? And they did that for like a bunch of bosses and then everyone hated it. So then they started adding like animations on, like you can see them visually when they change their attack styles. So they did that because people don't like it, but it still helps to count. And not a huge fan of that. And then Corrupted Gauntlet is just kind of like, this is like the negative. It's just kind of, I don't even know, controversial. Like Trey, I remember you were grinding the Bofa, you were like, you know, you found it kind of challenging mentally, right? You want to talk about your grind real quick about how that went? Because a lot of people feel that way, and a lot of irons actually quit because they're like, fuck this grind.
Yeah. Sure, I can hop into my thoughts. So I think overall, the Gauntlet, and more specifically the Corrupted Gauntlet, is a masterpiece with an asterisk. So I think that from like a conceptual standpoint, the prepping, like going in naked, like you're saying, the prepping it's a really interesting, like getting the things you need, having different options for having all 3 attack styles in different tiers of armor that you can go for, different demi bosses you can go for, different like food loadouts. You can even get the crystallized harpoon fish, which is like a tiki thing, like a carambwan. Those are all these different options for different strategies. And then I think the Hunlith fight is really good. I think it's unique in the claustrophobic feel like you're talking about. It is like a masterclass in like movement. It rivals Sepulcher for the ways in which it teaches you how to move your character. Mm-hmm. And the fight itself, I do find genuinely fun. The asterisk comes in with the rewards, and there's definitely a lot of critiques about the Gauntlet itself. But the thing it comes down to, and this is something I've obviously talked about a million times, is just that the bow of Ferdinand that you get from the Enhanced Crystal Weapon Seed is one of the few items in the game. I try to really be this voice of play the game the way you want to play it. But on an Iron Man, all paths lead to the Bofa, and it's one of the few items in the game that I would say you have to have. And I know you would disagree with that, Dills, but the biggest problem with Corrupted Gauntlet is that it's called the Red Prison because you feel like you have to be there. And it's one of the few places in the game I actually agree that you have to be there. And there's no dupe protection or dryness protection or anything. And people go over 1,000 kills for that. And it will drive you to insanity because it is this huge barricade that gatekeeps so much of the end game. And you feel like you have to keep going in. And the Gauntlet, it's very like monochrome, like everything is red. And they even make plugins to change the colors inside the Gauntlet just because it is so like depressing to keep going into the Red Prison. So that's the big asterisk on it. But I think from putting that aside, like from a mains perspective, like let's just say you're getting great loot from it, you're doing it kind of whenever it sounds fun. I do think it's a really cool thing, and it's actually something I want to see more of. Not the roguelike feel of going in naked or anything, but I want to see more of this kind of medium between a boss fight and a raid, where a boss fight is like 2 to 5 minutes and a raid is like 40 minutes. I want to see more of these like 15-minute encounters that are maybe like 3 bosses or something, like mini raids where maybe it's like a 3-part boss fight where he like goes into different rooms or something. Or I would love to see like this, I don't even know what to call them, like encounters or something, or skirmishes or something where it's just like a halfway point. I would love if more of I don't know. I feel like that could be a really cool reward space. But another thing to talk about with the Gauntlet is the prep, obviously. So we talked about it. Really, the whole thing is separated into these 2 sections. You have your prep, and then you have the boss fight. And I don't really have much to say about the boss fight itself. I really do enjoy it. The prep is what most people hate because of a few factors. The first one is that it's randomly generated. There are some consistencies, like your surrounding rooms that you start with, there will always be certain things in there. And the demi-bosses that drop the perfection items for your weapons will always be in the 3 middle of the outsides. But there's RNG to the rooms. And so when you need certain things and they're just not in this layout, it can feel like your run was just screwed from the beginning. And that part of it is really frustrating. I wish they would have had maybe 10 different layouts that it would, just randomly pick between, but it was still relatively balanced. Although when I say that, I know what that would have turned into is just, it would have had a RuneLight plugin that would have identified which of the rotations it is and then would have told you exactly where everything is.
It'd be like scouting with chambers. You scout the best.
Yeah, layout. Exactly. Yeah. So that's one part of it, the RNG side of it. The other part is the time. And this is probably for me personally where my biggest issue lies, besides the drops. We'll get to that in a minute. But the time of it is you have 7.5 minutes for prep, and then the boss fight's usually like could be 3 to 5 minutes. And, so generally a CG run is 8 to 12 minutes, let's say. And 8 would be, that's like PB territory for most people. And I just don't like having to pay attention for that long to the game. And maybe that sounds silly, but we're an ADHD community. But the Gauntlet, I feel like, is the longest amount of time in anywhere in the game that you have to stay fully focused for that long. Because even like the final boss fights of all of the raids are not that long. And yes, raids are 40 minutes, but you're getting these downtimes between the rooms. And yeah, some of the raids are like challenge modes or like CMs or certain invos for TOA. They put a timer on it, but generally you're ahead enough of those that if you're like, I need to go pee between rooms, nobody's going to, make a big fuss about it. But CG is so down to the wire of time almost every time that you do not have time to go pee. You cannot let your dog out. You cannot do anything. You have to, once you start the room, you're going to be focused and you're going to be staring at your screen. Every tick matters for like 12 minutes straight. And that is brutal for, someone who's not wanting to pay too much attention to the game. And so that part of it is probably my personal biggest frustration. So, and I guess, I mean, I can get into the drops now too, which is, yes, the enhanced crystal weapon seed is notorious for, being this thing, because it turns into the BOFA, because it's this big gatekeep to the game that people want to go for. And it's 1 in 400. I feel like that number is like tattooed in my brain because it's just the thing you're telling yourself the whole time.
And that's a lot. You were mentioning 12 minutes, let's say?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like that's 400 times, and that's pretending you don't die. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Or have failed preps and have to reset or stuff like that. Yeah, and that's fully focused time. And, it's hard because it's become it's this make or break for Ironman, and it is hard to talk about this conversation without, it is specifically an Ironman thing. If you're a main, do CG if it's fun, but don't worry about it if it's not.
Like I got the enhanced seed on like KC like 10 or something, like super early. And I was like, great. But with an iron, like you're not done. You got to get all the armor still.
Yep.
And each of those, it's like 7 seed. I don't even know. It's like you need a bunch of them. You don't need
you need 6 seeds and they're all 1 in 50.
Yeah, okay.
CG, obviously, not normal. But that's the other part with, so you can go extremely, extremely dry at CG, but you cannot one and done it. I've seen people who have completed it in 100 KC or something, but for the most part, you have to get lucky on the 1 in 400 drop, and then you have to get lucky on 6 different 1 in 50 drops, because the way that it's designed, you need the crystal armor to work with the crystal bow and vice versa. You have to have all 4 of those items to really use it to its full potential. Mm-hmm. So you can get a 1 KC enhanced crystal weapon seed and then still be at CG for 1,000 KC trying to get your armor seeds. And vice versa. Like I had, I think, 15 armor seeds by the time I got my enhanced. So and that's kind of where I think there needs to be a change. And I have a few proposals I want to bounce off of you and see which of them you think would be the best.
All right. Delete Gauntlet and you put a shop where you can just buy all this stuff. I'm down. Yeah, have the enhanced crystal weapon seed at 1 bill GP. That would actually be really interesting. Surely nobody would ever do that. I don't know. Even if it was 100 mil on an iron, I could see that like happening very rarely, but still see that. But okay, so let's get into some of these. Should I start from the craziest ones or the more grounded ones first? Let's do crazy, and then we'll move towards grounded.
Okay. This isn't even that crazy, but what would you say to the ability to, after a certain amount of KC, be able to just go in and just go straight to the boss fight for a much higher drop rate?
Ooh. Oh, I don't know. I hate it all. I don't like Gauntlet at all. I don't know if I like the boss fight more than the prep stuff. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not. I think I would no. I would. I think I'd have to be a no vote on that, but just because. Yeah, I don't. I might like prepping more than Gauntlet. That might not be true either. I don't know. I'm really down on Gauntlet, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. All right. What would you say to a single tile in your starting room that pauses the timer?
Ooh, that'd be good. That'd be nice. I think or some sort of type of system. I was doing the Krill Sutzeroth combat achievements. We got to kill 15 in one session, and that was fine. I did it. But there's definitely ones that are super long and you can't pause it. There's an hour and a half at least for Zilliana, I think I heard. And I'm like, man, the fact that I can't pause that to go pee. We're all getting older, Jagex. Let us have a pee pause built into the game or something.
Yeah. Well, and they have the programming for it because at the Doom of Macchiato, when you complete the wave, before you go down into the next wave, all of your stats pause.
Oh, cool.
And you're not allowed to drink potions or anything because they don't want you to be able to just fully, well, sorry to clarify, you can still drink potions and everything, but your HP restore and stuff like that pauses. So you can't just
I see.
Kind of like people do at Inferno where you just get in a safe spot and leave the room to let your health go up.
Yeah.
So they have the tech for that to just be okay, when you're standing in this square, the timer pauses. You can't do anything, but it just lets you, so when my wife texts me and says, I'm on the way home with groceries, I can go help her and not be like, hold on, I'm in a boss fight, which has definitely happened more than once. And it's honestly part of the reason why I don't like raiding, because it's that same thing. Like I said with raids, between bosses, if you need to go pee or something, but usually people don't want to wait 10 minutes for me to go unload the car. So I think overall, I would love if they did that in all of God Wars, in all of raids, at least solo raids, and in CG, just a one tile that it can even just be a little closet. You go stand in the closet and pauses the timer. It doesn't affect any of your stats. You can't do anything. You can't even eat food or anything. So it can't be abused, but it's just for those of us that have a life to just get a breath for a second. Okay. So you'd say you'd vote yes to that?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. I'm drinking a lot of water lately. I'm trying to up my water game and I have to pee all the time. So,
dude, I've also noticed that ever since I turned 30, having to pee is not I'm increasingly have to pee. It's I don't have to pee and then it goes straight to I have to pee right now or I'm going to die.
Like a toddler. That's what my kid
Maybe,
does.
yeah. Well, yeah. Isn't that all aging is you regress back into being a toddler?
I guess so. Oh no, what's happening?
Okay, so let's go to a dupe / dry protection.
Okay.
How would you feel about trading in 10 normal armor seed or normal weapon seeds for an enhanced weapon seed?
I feel like that could be good. Yeah,
the normal weapon.
I think you can buy the normal weapon seeds, right? But if you do some work around,
there'd have to be some. But yeah, the normal weapon seeds are 1 in 50. So if everything is on rate, you'd have to go to 500 KC to get those, which is over the drop rate of. And you could even make it. What would that number be? 16 of them, which would be double rate for the enhanced. You'd have to go to 800 on rate. But the idea being that you have a weapon seed, surely you can enhance it somehow, and that would just be a way for people who just have, Iron Men, of course, who have these just weird that cursed RNG of just they keep getting the weapon seeds.
That. I'm sure. I don't think I've ever heard an Iron looking forward to that grind. You either hate it or you can tolerate it. I guess I don't even know. I just feel like almost everyone hates it though.
Yeah, or it. A lot of us longtime players, they get that Stockholm syndrome of you learn to love it, and then once you get through it, then you feel like everybody has to suffer because you somehow learned a lesson about yourself or life or something through that grind. So you want everybody else to be miserable.
Yeah.
Okay, so my next. So would you be a yes or no on trading 10 armor weapon season for an enhanced?
That seems good. Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to remember all of I had some more outside the box ones. Okay, how about this one? What about a even harder version of Corrupted Gauntlet that had a better rate?
Ooh.
A ultimate Corrupted
Awakened,
Gauntlet.
corrupted Gauntlet.
Awakened.
That seems good. You can make it purple.
Yeah, the purple Gauntlet. That would actually, that'd be fitting.
That can seem all right, I guess.
Okay. All right, the last pitch is to remove the gauntlet completely and replace it with the dungeoneering skill.
Ooh. Dude, dungeoneering is I never really did a lot of dungeoneering, but I did enough of it that I'm going to say yeah. That's what I thought Gauntlet was going to be, because they had I remember when it was pitched, they're like, there's going to be demi bosses and there's 3 demi bosses each. I was like, oh, cool. So it's because dungeoneering, if you haven't done it, it's like the bosses change every time, the weapons and everything changes completely. And it seems pretty cool. And Gauntlet was like a way lesser version of that. This seems cool. Like I said, I really don't like Gauntlet. So anything that seems like I could be better sounds great. Sounds great to me. A lot of people say oh, you have to go to Gauntlet to get your Bofa. But I'm partially on my iron. Yeah, I'm partially never gonna do it out of spite. I show everyone that it can be done. But I genuinely don't like it. So I just, we were talking about earlier about maxing. I don't know if I'll ever max on this account because I can't. There's a lot of things that I'm I just won't. Yeah, I just don't want to do it, so I'm not going to do it. Construction, I have 91 construction, and I don't think I'll ever max it. And people are like, "Oh, dude," I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "It'll take you a day, 12 hours. That's all it takes to get to 99. It's so fast." And I was like, "That's 12 hours. I can't do that. I can barely sit through a 20-minute show that I don't like."
Yeah.
So yeah, the Gauntlet, and then we had someone who left a comment way back. I think they said the same thing, that they're never going to do Gauntlet.
It was the person who was saying that you can do all in-game content without doing the Gauntlet, and they were talking about how they had done all the raids and stuff.
And I feel with the Addle is such a cool weapon. It's not as good as the Bofa. I don't know. I've never used the Bofa, but I've been able to do all my raids with the Addle, and I'm sure the Bofa would be better, but I don't know. I'm still getting through them.
Yeah, and I guess another proposal to you, and this is something Jagex likes to do, is releasing a weapon that is as good as the Bofa that comes from a completely different boss. That's probably more fun to do.
The crystal Addle. Dude, I love the Addle. I want to buy an Addle. I was looking them up this week. They're $50 for a beginner's Addle. And I just want to that'd be so cool. As someone, I'm going, we're in spear season for hunting. You know what I mean? You got your bow, you got your firearm. I got my friggin' Addle, and I got my spears with me. Oh, that'd be so fucking cool.
What is the difference between an Addle and a spear? Is it just a spear that's made for throwing?
Oh, the Addle is a stick that you stick the spear and that you use it to throw your spear.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like a lacrosse.
It's like a spear slingshot.
Those lacrosse? Have you seen those lacrosse? What are they called?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have no idea that.
It's like that, but
what would they call those? Clubs?
Lacrosse flinger, I think, is the official name. The thrower.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea. Yeah, Addle's cool. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's pretty much all of my suggestions for the Gauntlet. I would like to see a very light form of protection there for going extremely dry. I'm not a huge fan of the your drop rate gets better or anything. I do think a very kind of, we've seen with Yama, the Oath Plate shards. I do like those kind of systems. And that's kind of what I'm saying with the weapon seeds of okay, you didn't get the drop all at once, but you do have a shit ton of these, normal weapon seeds that you've gotten lucky on, and you can trade those in for it. And obviously that would be a very interesting month if they made that change, because weapon seeds are like 100K. And so the BOFA would probably like lose half of its value, and then weapon seeds would probably be like, 5 mil a piece or something, or I don't know, whatever. I'm not worried about the main side of things. I'm sorry. But from a game design standpoint, that would be my favorite solution, because the weapon seeds are just so useless on their own.
Yeah.
But, it's probably never going to happen, because the community who has completed the Gauntlet is very upset about their time there. And if they reduce, made it easier for people, there's a certain part of the community that would hate that. But
we'll probably end up getting like something that's like it's not quite the BOFA, but it works just as well for the most part. This is how maybe it's from a new sailing boss or something. You know what I mean? Like I guess that's what I think they'll do.
And that's what I hate. That's like my least favorite solution that Jagex does all the time, when they feel like they can't fix something, so they make something. It's the same thing they're doing with the blood shards. They're like, oh well, instead of making changes to the Vires, they're adding a new boss that drops blood shards and is going to basically have, quote unquote, all of the problems with Vires fixed, And I hate that design philosophy. And it's mostly because they know that if it's something new, that people will have less of a problem than fixing something that people have already done.
Right. You have to like hide it in a new sweep up where it's like, here's 1,000 things we're going to do. And by the way, we're going to fix the Gauntlet. You're like, whoa. By the way, it was all me, no help, who said 2 years ago, holy shit, it was a while ago, you don't have to have a BOFA for an iron. Look up my account, all me, no help, not a single CG to show everyone you can get to endgame without it. I looked him up, no CG. 5 Gauntlet, but I think that might be achievement stuff. Who knows? Hell yeah, Addle, let's go. Cool stuff. Anything else you want to say about the Gauntlet before we move on?
We don't have to get into it, but T2 prep supremacy. I did all of my KC T2 prep, and if that works for you, then do it. If you want to do T1, do that, but don't listen to people who tell you that you are a piece of shit if you don't do T1 prep.
I feel like people are way better at that now, but I remember that was one, I had that in my notes. I don't like how people are with, you know what I mean? Like people used to say that. They'd say it to me too. And I think that's maybe why I hate it, is because I learned CG with T1 and I remember just, it wasn't fun. I was like, this fucking sucks. But then once I started doing T2 preps to learn, it was like, oh, I should have done this the whole time.
Yeah, and that's how I was. It felt a lot better to me because I did T1. I did do some T1 prep. Like I can do it, but it felt a lot better to me to know before I went into the fight that I was very likely to finish the fight unless I made a mistake, as opposed to T1, you can just kind of get screwed. Like you can get stacked out so much easier, or you can just run out of food if you're not hitting well. And you have T1, you have a lot of those kills that come down to the wire because you're running out of food and it's just a DPS check. But with the T2, it's much more consistent. Ooh, can I remember one of my other ideas.
Ooh, let's hear it.
So what if when you kill Hunlif, you have an option to immediately resurrect him and kill him again with your existing inventory for an extra roll when you get out to the chest?
Yeah, that could be kind of cool.
So it's almost like that the delving mechanism with Doom or Coliseum. It's like that kind of double or nothing type of thing. But it would be very interesting, if you have a really good run, or if you did like a T2 prep and you had like a full inventory of food left over, you could try to double it so you wouldn't have to do another prep.
Yeah, that seems all right. It's not quite enough to get me to going back to CG, but I would
love stuff like that kind of sounds impossible. No. Like stuff like that sounds like, oh, well, you probably wouldn't ever do that because you're usually almost out of food. But then there's that Port Khazard video that'll come out with like doing 50 Hunlif kills on one prep or something. I love that kind of stuff that is open-ended like that, stuff like Doom was supposed to be, that it feels like it wasn't. But anyways.
They're going to get it right one of these days.
Yeah, one of these days.
I do like how they're doing like little iterations with like future bosses that are like, they take elements that work, maybe stuff that doesn't. Okay, but anyways, so there's the Gauntlet as a whole. What's the verdict?
I'm gonna say Smash. I do like it from a conceptual standpoint, and I think overall, if you didn't feel trapped there, it is a really cool piece of PvM content. It feels very unique to everything else in the game. I think my only thing that is an issue with it is just the fact that you have to go there and you have to stay there for 500 KC.
Yeah, I guess like the content itself isn't. It's unique. It's all right. It's not my thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. Another thing we didn't mention, the bosses. It's one of these bosses like the mole. It's like right within a city. It's inside Pt.9's. You got to go into a portal and all that, but you kind of lose me a bit going through a portal because it's like I don't even know where we're going. Is this beaming me up into the friggin' Pt.9's ship? Maybe this is Stellar Dawn. We don't even know it.
Oh, okay. All right, I'm listening.
The Gauntlet is a spaceship. No, I only got to work on that one. Okay, so yeah, you're smashing it. I will not smash it. I'm going to pass. Yeah.
Shocker.
Not a huge fan of it. But let's go on to the next boss, the Nightmare of Ashiyama. People have similar feelings about this boss, but let me try to explain it. It is in Mauritania in the town of Sleep. And the boss is like really like, I don't know if it's like Japanese inspired, but it definitely has some like influences from that culture where like the boss itself is supposed to come from what do they call it? The Western Isles or the Eastern Isles. But there's these islands that we can't see in the game. But if you're in RuneScape 3 and there's maps that do show you the islands and one of them is Ashiyama, and that's where the nightmare kind of comes from there. And you're almost going into this like psychological battle in the sense that like when you go to fight the boss, it'll be like sleeping on the ground and you got to like teleport into a dream world where you then fight it. And it has this whole like sleep theme, the nightmare dreaming states. And so throughout the fight, you'll have like these like sleepwalkers that will try to walk towards the boss. And yeah, it's like a melee fight. And at certain points, once you like deplete the nightmare's shield, I guess, you got to like switch to mage and charge up these giant totems. And then the totems will shoot Nightmare. And it's the totems that will do the actual physical damage to Nightmare. Yeah, so you're just like charging them up. I'm trying to think what is worth mentioning in the fight. I don't know. It just really touches on the themes of like a nightmare, and there's almost like the decaying, like you have like parasites that you get infected with, and all these sort of things that you have to kind of deal with. But what I really like about the boss is it's for the most part like purely reactionary. So you don't have to counter anything. It does an animation for when it's going to do range. It does a different animation when it's going to do mage. You can just watch it. And then it'll do like an attack where it dashes across the arena. You just have to move out of the way. Like, I really like it because you're just reacting to attacks. You're not having to like count or like, I can't think of an example, but there's almost like two style of bosses. And one of them is reaction where you're reacting to it. Whereas the other one, you kind of have to like know the patterns. Like Zulrah is kind of like that, where if you're just reacting to it, you're going to take a lot of damage. You need to preemptive in certain things. But anyways, yeah, it's a pretty cool fight. I'll be honest. I really like the fight. And the uniques itself are pretty neat. There's like a set called the Inquisitors. You got a helmet, skirt, hauberk. It's like a sweater. No, it's your top. It's like your bandos, but it does crush damage. These are weird items. We'll circle back to it, but just it focuses more on crush damage. And then it has the Nightmare Staff, which is like, it has like 3 different staffs you can make out of it, and those can be kind of cool. The Eldritch Staff, which has a special attack, it just basically restores your prayer. And then you have the Harmonized Staff, and I think this is like the big one that people really want. It just speeds up your attacks on the normal spellbook. You can attack much faster. So that's like a pretty good overall staff. And then there is the Volatile Nightmare staff. And this one's kind of like an AGS, but magic. So the special attack just does a lot of damage. It's kind of like a PKer's staff. So you got your 3 staffs there. The big problem with Nightmare is like the items are really hard to get. The fights are really long. And they're like, some of them are worth a lot of money. Like it's ranging from like 50 mil to 300 mil for like the items as well. There's a mace that comes with the Inquisitor set too that we didn't talk about. And yeah, and it's similar to Gauntlet in the sense that there is your normal mode, which is just the Nightmare of Ashiyama. And you can do that with a bunch of people. It's a group boss. And then there's the Fasani's Nightmare, which is a harder version. And it's a solo version of the boss, which I think it's really cool. So the big difference between the 2 bosses, because it's not just like, oh, Fasani's is, you know, it's like with Fasani's, you can avoid, I think you can avoid every piece of damage if you're doing everything correctly. There's no chip damage. So if you're playing well and reacting properly, you can really get through the fight without taking much damage at all. Whereas Nightmare, there is the Nightmare of Ashiyama, the group boss, there is chip damage involved. And and if you were to solo the Nightmare of Ashiyama, not Fasani's, if you were to solo Nightmare, it takes like 12 minutes. Oh, it takes like 20 minutes, I think. I think it takes a really long time. Yeah, so, but yeah, it's one of those bosses you can go mass. Let me go through my notes real quick. I think it's a sick boss. It looks super cool. The music and everything just is super into it. I like that it comes from like the Western Isles. Like it's these isles that has some history. Like you hear about them in the game and stuff, but we don't know much about it. But this is like, we get to learn a little bit more about that area. Now with sailing, maybe that'll be a sailing expansion one day. Definitely will be a sailing expansion. I got the music and the vibe overall is dope. Even though I just said that, I got it in there twice. Another thing I love is that there's sleepwalkers. I mentioned there's sleepwalkers that show up while you're fighting it, but they'll walk from all over Mauritania and they walk to the town of Sleep. So if you're in, what's that? The
Port
city?
Phasmatis?
Yeah, I think if you're there, you'll see them. But what's the other place?
Canifis?
Canifis, that's it. Yeah, you'll see guys like walking from there and you can just follow them and they'll walk all the way to where the boss is. I think that's super cool. I like that there's a boss version and a solo version, and the fights feel very different. And I like we hit this like period where the way loot works for all these new bosses and when it's group bosses is like everyone gets their own slice of the pie. It's not like whoever did the most damage gets everything like you would with God Wars. So this has the more updated loot mechanics, which I like. What sucks is the uniques. Like a lot of people don't feel that the uniques are really worth grinding for. They're really hard to get and they're kind of like niche. Like, you know, especially now that we have Yama, like you just get Oath Plate and it'll be way better than Inquisitors for the most part. Also, yeah, going back to Inquisitors, it's super weird. You need 35 defense for it. I think they just did it so that they could lower the defense stats on it so that it's like Bandos is still better because it's, you know, whatever. Although what's kind of cool is you do have these weird like PvP builds that are just cap their defense at like, is it 35? 30 defense, not 35. It's 30 defense. The other thing that sucks is the regular loot sucks. So if you're there, you'll get like Bass or Zamorak Bruise. And you're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this shit? Sucks. But yeah, that's pretty much the breakdown there. What are your thoughts on the Nightmare of Ashiyama?
Yeah, it's a really cool boss. Like the look of it. There's something about it's a little bone crackling attack that is like tickles your brain. At least
it's
for
like,
me.
It's very horror feeling. Like,
oh yeah, and I'm here for it. But yeah, that sound of the like, I don't know, I love it. And yeah, it's a really cool fight. And I do agree that the having it be actually a different fight for groups versus solo is a cool idea. And I've never gotten a Fasani's kill, so I can't speak to that. But I'm parroting what I've heard from people who just love that boss.
It's a fun fight, yeah.
Yeah, I've only done a handful of group Nightmare, and of one time, the most memorable experience I had at Nightmare was we were trying to get the no prayer usage CA.
Oh yeah,
and we just basically the logic was basically just to no, like if you're good at the game, you could do, because it's the CA is to not lose any prayer points. So if you could perfectly flick your prayers, you could just do it the same as a normal kill. But because we were a bunch of noobs, we were like, nobody pray, just bring a bunch of food and we'll bring enough people to just to beat her. And it was this miserable affair. And everybody got the CA besides me. And I don't remember why.
I think you didn't do enough damage or something, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah, because I was just eating the whole time. Yeah, you're right. I didn't get enough damage for a kill credit, so it didn't count for me. And they're all like, "Oh, we can do it again." And I was like, "No. Everybody else got it. It's fine."
We should do another event. That was fun. The worst part is like, it's like you're sitting there trying to resist. It's so hard to not turn your prayer on because you're so used to you're flicking a lot, and there's a lot of prayer switching that goes on in the fight. So like every attack, your like instinct is to run over and press. So it was really hard not to do that, but yeah, it was a good time.
There's some really unique mechanics in the fight. It's the only place in the game where you have this mechanic of your prayers will get swapped. So the one you click on is not the one that comes up above your head. So it's kind of leaning into this idea of like it's inside your head, like the nightmare is getting into your own like psyche and messing with your brain, which is really cool, and a very thematic mechanic, which is really cool. But it's like the pretty much the through line of Nightmare is the fight is awesome and the rewards aren't. And Jagex has done a lot of work to try to make the rewards good, whether it's most of their solution has just been expanding the crush bosses, like Araxor is a great example of a boss an in-game boss that, Crush is best in slot there. Huey Codal is another one where Inquisitors is best in slot. Here, let me actually pull up really quick. I'm just curious to see from the new bosses they've added.
Yeah.
Araxor, Huey Codal, Doom, best in slot for melee at Doom. I don't know about that. But, Crush has been on kind of an upswing recently with the updates in the game. And most people are expecting it to be a huge part of Raids 4. So I'm thinking that Nightmare's going to get even better. But, it leads into this conversation with the rewards and the time to get the rewards and what it takes to get the rewards. And once again, it's on par with Yama, because Yama is essentially the Slash equivalent. Inquisitors, I guess just to break it down, if people don't kind of know the quote, like the meta for stuff, you have Torva, which we'll get to next, which is like your best in slot, like strength, but not accuracy. And so strength, determines how hard you hit, but it doesn't help you to actually hit in the first place. And then you have your specialty accuracy armors. For Crush, you have Inquisitors, and for Slash, you have Oathplate, and Stab is yet to be released. We'll see what we get for that. And so Inquisitors and Oathplate are, they should be compared because they fill this similar slot in the game. And if you compare them, the requirements to get to the fight, the difficulty of the fight itself, the gear you need for the fight is so much lower for Oathplate than it is for Inquisitors. And I'll say this exact same thing. I'll just say it now. It's the same for Nex, like the getting Torva versus getting Oathplate. And so I've been very critical of Oathplate. And I'll probably go on this rant again when we get to Yama in 2028 or so about like I think that there was this reasonable expectation of the end game to have these long miserable grinds, admittedly, but Nex and Nightmare in kind of that same vein of like, yeah, if you want the best armor in the game, it's gonna take a long time. But then Yama came out and it's like so much faster. And so now in hindsight, we're looking at Nightmare and Nex and being like, okay, well, why would I go there when this thing is so much faster? And not to say that I understand that Oathplate isn't a replacement for Inquisitors. You still hypothetically would want both of them, and you still want Torva. They all have uses in different places. But when you're looking at the time to get and the difficulty of getting on a similar plane, it's so thrown out of whack now by Yama, and it's really frustrating. But putting that aside, Inquisitors, just the Inquisitor side of things, it is such a cool looking armor. I think it's probably one of my favorite looking armor sets in the game. It has like, I don't know, just the idea of like, I don't know what the lore of the Inquisitors are, but that feels very like it feels very like horror coded, as opposed to like a knight. Like knights are very like virtuous and stuff, but an inquisitor sounds like they're going to be the one that they call in to pull your fingernails off and get some information out of you, kind of a thing. Like, yeah, it has a very scary and dark kind of feeling to it. So that fits perfectly with the idea of like a nightmare. It's all very horror coded, and I'm here for all of that.
Then the staff, like it's like your staff, but almost like a lantern is hanging on a chain from it. And then we mentioned there's 3 staffs, and the way it works is you get these like orbs, and then you put it in the staff, and that's when it turns into the Eldritch or the Harmonize or whatever. So that, everything from Nightmare, it looks cool. We didn't mention this either, but the Nightmare boss is like this old, frail old lady, like a hag, and that's super cool.
Yeah, no, it is the aesthetics all around the whole arena and everything. All 30 minutes it takes to run through the arena, all of it has this great atmosphere and all of that. I love all of that, but yeah, it really just kind of comes down to the time to get the items, and they have improved that. I mean, their fix to Nightmare was they removed an entire phase of the fight.
Huge, yeah.
And that was big. And I want to say they've also lowered the drop rates at some point, but my understanding, once again, I'm no expert on this boss, but just from what I've heard from the community, is it still is so much longer to get Inquisitors than it is Oathplate. And personally, I blame that on Oathplate much more than Inquisitors, but it's the same people are releasing it, so it does beg the comparison. So it's like, I don't know. It feels like that's super out of whack, and something needs to be fixed with that.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, overall thoughts, unless there's anything we missed, like what are your... I'm going to I'm going to pass because I think Nightmare's out of my league. Okay.
Cool. It's like I'm not even gonna go up to Nightmare at the bar because I just look over and I'm like, it's not for me. It's too much work. I'm gonna take the easy. Oh, this is turning into a weird analogy.
Yeah. And then clean her
I
nails
see
in a while.
I see Yama over there, and I'm like, oh, I think that's like a sure thing. But I see Nightmare at the bar, and I'm like, man, that
So
I don't know if I can pull that off.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I will smash it. I think I love everything about the fight. It's just if you're going in for money, you're going to be feeling pretty bad every kill. But yeah, it looks cool. It sounds cool. The vibes are great. It's like, it's funny because it's like in a lot of ways like a total opposite of how I feel about Gauntlet in the sense that like Gauntlet was grueling to learn. I remember like doing that and dying a ton when I was learning the Corrupted Gauntlet and wasn't having fun. But Fasani's, I died, and I'm not saying this for the meme. It took me 69 deaths before I got my first kill, and I didn't really mind it. Like it was fun. It was intense, and like when I got that first kill, I was like shaking. It was intense. So yeah, big smash for me. All right, next we have next. Yeah, another one that some people find are stinkers because it's also kind of grueling to get through. I have not done a whole lot of next, but
this is a hell of a run of bosses.
I know.
These like end game bosses that have a huge time to complete.
Yeah. What is Jagex doing in 2022 or 2020? Their game design was not great. They were working from home, so they're just doing it themselves. They're just figuring it out while they're taking a shit or something. So yeah, next is the 5th God Wars boss. It was like added afterwards, obviously. And in order to even fight the boss, you got to get 1 kill from every single God Wars boss. You get these crystal pieces, and you get to put them together to make your, the frozen key, which allows you to get to next to fight it. And next, really, the theme around next is like the ancient magic. So there's like 4 different phases. There's like a blood phase, shadow phase, ice phase,
smoke
phase. There we go. Not in that order. And a lot of people, so again, I haven't done a lot of this fight much. You can't solo it. You have to do it in groups. I don't think has anyone ever soloed it? They probably has.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like kind of in the same category of like solo Tob, it's doable, but most people aren't going to.
Yeah, you should.
And it's not like efficient. Yeah, it's a challenge. It's not a like super high level efficiency thing.
Yeah, so it has those 4 ancient magic phases, and then there's like some slight mechanics going on. The fight is like, it's not, I would say it's like not as complex or not as like, it feels a bit dated because even though Next came out in 2022, I forgot to mention the years they got released. Gauntlet was 2019, Nightmare was 2020, Next 2022. But so we should mention with Nightmare and Next and the Rev Mount, like all these bosses, we were just going through like a dry spell. You know, we had the COVID was going on, and Jagex was like was in like a transitional period because the team was growing really fast. I remember they were talking about like, you know, everyone's working from home. They're like, I don't know what we're going to do when we all go back to the office because there's too many people here now. So they fired them all before. No, I don't know what happened. Maybe, I have no idea. But so I think that's partially why you see these weird things like Nightmare. It's like they were trying to remake the God Wars drop table where it's like, you don't get anything fun until you get something fun. Not like Vorkath. And then Next, you know, we weren't getting much content. So the Next was released, but Next has already been out in RuneScape 3. And they just took Next and tweaked some of the numbers so that it works for old school RuneScape and basically dropped it in. So even though it's released in 2022, in some ways, technically it was kind of released in 2012 or something like that, like the original date. And I think you can feel that a bit. So yeah, the mechanic is just when you do the fight, you'll be like, oh, this feels different than like Doom or, you know, call it whatever. Add your end game boss of the same level, same caliber. And the items you get from it are, you get the Zerite Vambraces, which are the best in slot, range gloves. You get an upgrade to the Armadyl crossbow, and you make the Zerite crossbow, which is a really good crossbow. And then you have your full Torva, and then you have the Ancient Hilt, which is another god sword. And basically just like, you do damage, and then it's going to you explode, basically, and you get damage.
Is that the one where you like, they like get turned red?
Yeah. So it's a PvP god sword, but I don't even think you see it that much. But everything here is pretty expensive because how brutal Next is. So yeah, like all Torva pieces, it's between 100 mil and 200 mil. The horn you use to upgrade the Armadyl crossbow, it's like 350 mil. Ancient Hilt is 40 mil. Zerite Vambraces 80 mil. So everything's a lot of money. But it's I think what sucks a lot about it, this is mostly for the irons, is like you go through your brews like crazy. Like you're just constantly chugging brews and fighting, and just so much chip damage the whole fight, and it's kind of long, and
that has gotten a lot better.
It has. Did they make tweaks to make it better? That's good.
Yeah. They made a lot of changes to Next to alleviate some of those issues.
That's good. Well, let me go through my notes real quick. What I liked about it was I liked the God Wars update. That's cool. I love that. You know, I like the lore behind from the God Wars and stuff. That stuff's fun. The uniques are all awesome. You're forced to run in groups, which I do kind of like because we do have a lot of bosses that are solo, and it's like I like that we have bosses where it's like forces you to go out and, you know, do it with other people, maybe make some friends and all that sort of stuff. But that can also be a negative. And I like that the boss runs. So there's very little bosses and NPCs that run. So when they do, it kind of is like, whoa, that's neat. Like it happens. I've been doing Vardorvis lately, and in the Stranglewood area, there's like these zombies and they run. And when you're running, it's like, holy shit, these guys are fast. What was the other point that I liked? Because I didn't write this one down, but I just thought of it. Well, I really used to dog on Torva armor. I thought it looked so stupid when it was released. I thought you looked like a stormtrooper. It just didn't work. I was really not a fan of it. But they went and they did like some little updates, and I think it looks way nicer now. So happy about that. I think Next itself, the boss looks kind of dumb. People say it's like a chicken, and like, yeah, it doesn't look like a strong boss. Like I'm sure if it was designed today, I bet you it would have looked way cooler. The fight is meh. It was a missed opportunity to do something cool. It was very lazy. And a lot of people were kind of taken aback about how much was copy and pasted from RuneScape 3 because they really said that this was not going to. I I remember them saying stuff like, this isn't going to be like the fight you remember from 2012. It's going to be something new. And it wasn't so. Yeah, that's about. What do you think about Nex?
Yeah, so I want to start talking about Nex outside of the room. So when you have to get kill count for Nex, the minions in the ancient area of God War's dungeon give you multiple kills per kill.
Yeah.
I believe I think it's 5 each, and you can get even more if you're wearing pieces of the Blessed Ehime. And I don't care if it's like repetitive and annoying. I'm going to call it out every time I see it because this is like my least favorite thing in the game is once again, Jagex has a system in place of getting kill count that is annoying and tedious and hated by most of the community. And instead of fixing that across the board, they release this and it's just better. And they haven't done anything to alleviate that for the other God Wars bosses because I guess nostalgia or something. But it's so frustrating because why does the next minions give you so many more kill count per kill than the other God Wars bosses? I really hate that. And, I still have to kill 35 goblins every time I go to do Bandos, but I can kill like 6 spiritual mages when I go to kill for Nex. So that part of it is just, like I said, I'm just going to call it out every time it comes up because it drives me crazy. But yeah, Nex is, from an aesthetic standpoint, I disagree. I think Nex looks really cool. I like how she's just like this super tall thing. I feel like tall and skinny isn't something we see a lot in bosses, but we've got it with Nex and we had it with Nightmare too. But the thing that I've always felt like was the missed opportunity for the next fight was, Nex summons these 4 minions. And they're each representative of like the ancient magics types of spells, blood, smoke, ice, and shadow. And I always thought if the idea is that a boss has these things in these 4 corners and is summoning them and like absorbing their power or whatever, I always thought it would be much cooler if she was summoning the 4 God Wars dungeons, like Grardor and stuff and absorbing like some of their mechanics. I don't know. That just always sounded like a really interesting fight. And, maybe she would have a phase where she can like use a wind attack like Kriara does and blow you back or something. But anyways, so the fight itself, I think I don't hate it. I think it's pretty engaging for the most part, especially with the changes they've made. It's kind of engaging in the way that I like RuneScape bosses to be, where there's enough to pay attention to, but you're not having to. You can do there's a lot of little tick manipulations and efficiency things you can do, but it's a boss that I feel like the efficiency maxing is more about making the fight faster as opposed to some other places where if you don't do that, you'll like not be able to get the kill, if that makes any sense. I guess what I'm trying to say is I like bosses where you can be bad at it and still get the kill, but always be trying to get better at it just to be faster, as opposed to ones where you just have to be better to even get the kill in the first place. But yeah, and here we go again. Dills, can you tell me why the Torva full helm, as opposed to every single other armor set in the game, can you tell me why the full helm is worth more than the chest or the plate legs?
The Torva, I have no idea.
Oh, it's because it's the meta to have a Torva full helm with oath plate, chest, and legs.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh, really? Yeah.
That's funny.
Here we go again. And I'll just copy and paste. I won't say it all again, but copy and paste my rant from before, because oath plate, chest, and legs is so much faster, easier to get than the plate body and the plate legs.
Oh, but if you got the plate body and plate legs, you're going to be using that
for Torva.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, they're still very, very good.
Because sometimes, like, this was a thing beforehand. It might still be, but I have no idea. But like when I was doing chambers, you would bring your like fighter torso, I believe, but you wouldn't bring task sets, and it was because like the task sets just wasn't with the common gear layout. You just weren't gonna get an extra max hit, so no one ever brought the task sets because wasn't worth it. So I was wondering, like, oh my god, how, like, I wonder if that's the same thing with Oathplate and Torva, where you're like, no, you don't need the top and legs of Torva because you're not going to get a max hit, which would have been so. That would have been a shame.
Yeah, it's just that Torva's in a really weird spot right now because I don't know. I don't want to keep harping on Oathplate, but it is what it is. So I won't just keep going on about that. The other rewards, the Zerite Vambraces and the Nihil Horn, are really cool. I'm not even going to talk about the Ancient Hilt. That feels like a troll drop. But the ZCB, the Zerite crossbow that you get with the Nihil Horn, mixing it with an Armadil crossbow, is really cool. It's basically the entire thing with the Zerite crossbow is that its special attack is like a guaranteed, if you hit the boss, it's a guaranteed proc of your enchanted bolts. So for most places, it's like a guaranteed 100 with a ruby bolt.
That's cool.
But just to be clear, you still have to roll to hit. So you can't have your full melee armor on and throw on the crossbow and hit 100. I learned that the hard way. But yeah, I also will say, I think I always thought, even from day one, I thought the Torva armor looked really cool. But this is from #1 Bandos armor hater, so maybe my tastes are just bad. But yeah, I don't know. Nex is a weird thing. I do like, something I don't think you mentioned, but it is able to be masked in a way that is, it's like a bastardization probably of what the fight was intended to be. It's just everybody's just kind of standing and shooting it and ignoring all the mechanics and stuff. And it is objectively not smart to go there. It's like ridiculously longer time to get the items than to, find a team of 3 to 5 people and, grind out Nex. But it is much more laid back. It is much less gear and skill requirement. And, it's, if you want to play the slot machines a little bit, you could get a 338 mil drop from just kind of standing there and shooting it with a rune crossbow.
Worked for me. I got the legs on day one.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah, on a mass. So
that's awesome. That cool. I think that they struck a good balance there. Like, it is objectively better to do it with a small team as intended. But it's kind of cool that you can go there with a mass. And honestly, I find it pretty relaxing. Cool. But it is considered a waste of time. But if you get something, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like, is it a waste of time if like you're doing mass next on your phone in bed when you can't, maybe you're not going to be able to do that.
Yeah, or you can't find a team.
Yeah, you're like, you know what? Yeah, so yeah, not too bad. Oh, what was I was going to say? Nope, I think I might have. Did I lose it? I think I lost it. Well,
one other thing is Nex drops ecumenical key shards, which
cool.
Can be combined into ecumenical keys that can be used to get into other bosses. And once again, that's just a big WTF of, can we add those to other? It's just, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm on this soapbox today, but why does Nex drop? Why does one of the God Wars bosses drop ecumenical key shards and the rest of them don't? I personally, I feel like every single minion and every single thing inside God Wars dungeon should have ecumenical key shards in their drop table, even if it's like one at a time, lower rates or whatever. But it's just crazy to me that you can get this thing that improves your experience at God Wars dungeon only from one of the bosses and not from all of them. But it is what it is.
It would be nice. The other thing I don't like is I never like when there's like information that is like something being shown to you, but there's no information on what it is, and you have to go to the wiki. So what I'm saying is, like, with Nex, throughout the fight or near the end of the fight, it throws on these like prayer overheads that come from when Nex first came out in RuneScape 3. So it's like turmoil or soul split, like these prayers that we don't have in the game. With these symbols, and like, you have no idea, like, that just pops in their head and you're like, I've never seen this symbol before. How am I supposed to know? Like, you're supposed to go on the wiki and look it up, but like, like I don't like that, because it's like it the way it appears is you're supposed to be like, oh, it's soul split, but like, I'm watching Mad Season Show. He's a World of Warcraft player, has been playing RuneScape for the past couple of years, and he's playing it completely blind, not looking at the wiki and stuff, and it's crazy the amount of information that's like you're watching and it's like, oh wow, like there's no way to know this thing unless you look at the wiki.
Yeah.
And since that's the way he's not looking at the wiki, he's never going to find it out. So yeah, Nex has an instance of that with their prayers. Oh, quick note though, what's kind of cool is Jagus has been watching his series and they keep going back and fixing things when they're like, oh, this basic information doesn't exist. Like people are going to the wiki for it. Like this is sound insane, but like if you click on your skills these days, there's an overview of what your skill does and how you can do it now. That was because of Mad's season, because he was like, what is crafting? You would just open it up and it's like, I don't even know what am I supposed to do? Like it doesn't tell you anything about what these skills are for. So it's pretty cool.
Side note on your side note, that's great, and I love that they have the overview. They now for every skill they need a second tab that has everything you unlock all in one place, so you can just see the progression instead of having to be like, it's so like sailing is really bad about this, where you have like facility upgrades and then core boat upgrades. And you have to keep switching between them to see what levels you get stuff. It would be nice just to have one tab with all of those, and then they can go into their specifics.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think that's everything I have about Nex.
Do you like Nex? Smash or pass? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna pass. I think once I have the gear for it, which on an Iron Man you kind of need like a Fang and like Carol's or Missouri or something. That's kind of the, first small group Nex. Once I have those, I kind of look forward to doing it. It does feel, once again, actually, I think Gauntlet, Nex, and Nightmare all almost they fit into that longer, like between boss fight and raid category.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it does kind of feel like a mini raid, and you can get drops that are worth, just short of a mega rare, they're worth as much as anything else you're going to get from, any non-mega rare purple you're going to get. So the profit per hour is very high for Nex. So all of that, but I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't, I don't feel this huge draw to go there. I'm going to give it a light pass. I don't have hard feelings against it, but it just didn't work out this time.
I am going to give it, I think I'll give it like a light pass as well. It's because as we're talking about it, I'm sitting here being like, you know what? When I think about like, oh, I'm going to go PvM tonight, I never think about Nex. I could do Nex. I have the gear. Like my account's it's pretty up there, but I just don't do it. And I don't see other people really doing it, asking for like, let's do Nex and stuff. And for whatever reason, it's just not on my radar, which is, I'm like,
and it's not that hard. It's not like Tob where people feel like they're not able to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like, I kind of want to go do like Nex tonight because like the rewards are worth a lot of money. I'm like, why not? Why not try to get a group together? But there's so many good bosses these days.
I think for me, it fits into, I'd call it a bingo boss, because I feel like that's the time where I see people doing Nex is during bingo. And
now this brings us to our final boss of the episode. Revenant Maledictus came out February 2nd.
Best boss in the game.
Yeah. It feels like it gets left out of all the conversations. Came out in 2022. This is a weird one. This is like not... Well, you know what? They call it a demi-boss, so I guess that fits better. I was going to say, this isn't really a boss for a few reasons. It doesn't even have any uniques, which is kind of unfortunate, but whatever. Okay, so the Revenant Maledictus, we have the Rev Caves in this game, and the Rev Caves are just like these. There's a bunch of different Revenant monsters, and they basically just like shit out a bunch of items. Like they're supposed to be like really good to farm for getting gold, like stuff that you can just sell and make a lot of money. They do have some uniques. There's the crossbow, Thameron Scepter, Vigora's Chain Mace, which are like these wilderness weapons. They just do bonus damage in the wilderness. You can also attach the wilderness bosses, the Callisto, Vedion, Venenatus. They have these items that you can attach to these Revenant weapons to upgrade them. So they're really meant to just be like used in the wilderness for the most part. And then also the Revs can drop the Amulet of Avarice, which is it's basically a glory that when you wear it, it's going to skull you. And you're probably like, oh, why would you want to do that? Well, when you're fighting the Revs with a skull, then they'll drop like noted items, and you're just gonna make more money basically. Like if you want the uniques to drop more, and you want just the regular drops to be worth more, being Scald will give you that boost.
So Dills, you're talking about these drops from normal revenants. So we're gonna talk about this revenant boss. So surely the uniques from the revenant boss are way more common because it's like a boss, right?
Yeah, no, not quite. They're super rare, but yeah, they're super rare in general.
If I'm not mistaken, it is exactly the same.
Is it?
As
Yeah,
a
okay.
Revenant Knight.
It looks the same. Yeah, like you're not killing the boss for the uniques because you can't even farm the boss. I'm going to explain how the boss spawns in a second. Yeah, it's 1 in 26,000.
You're not killing the boss. That's the what you meant to say. You're just not killing it.
But well, the other thing that revs do drop are these ancient like totems or these like relic things, and there's a bunch of them. There's like 6 different tiers, and they it's like 500k. They'll one you can sell for 500k, 1 mil, 2 mil, 4 mil, 8 mil, 16 mil. Those are what they are worth. And then there's the ancient crystal, which you can use to put a obelisk. It's in the wilderness. You can put one in your house. All revenants drop them, and the revenant boss just also drops them as well. So you can almost like think of the revenant boss as like the Slayer superior monsters that spawn sometimes. That's kind of what happens when you're in the rev caves. Every time you kill a revenant monster, not like just any monster, the chance that the revenant boss is going to spawn increases. So if you're in there and you just keep farming regular revenants, eventually the boss is going to spawn somewhere in the cave. And you go fight it. It's got some mechanics where it's going to freeze you. It's going to shoot like these ranged attacks at you. And it's got a lot of health. So you basically just want to kill it. And then it's going to drop like 3 stacks of items that drop from the Revenant Caves. But it's always going to drop like one of the ancient totems. So you're usually going to get the 1 mil or the 500k version. But those always drop. But the cool thing is if you have the Amulet of Avarice, which is going to give you the skull when you kill the boss, you get this buff. Like your skull turns blue with these arrows, and it's called the 4-3 Surge. And it's going to give you 15% more accuracy and damage against all revs for 30 minutes. Is that it? I guess that's it. I thought it made the revs spawn quicker too, but maybe that's not right. Anyways, whatever. You get a little bit of a buff though. So yeah, it sucks. That's the fight. The one thing, so let me see the pros and cons. The pros are, I like the spawning mechanic. That's kind of cool. We don't have that yet. I like that it's like this multi-boss that kind of wanders in the cave. That's kind of cool. I do like to kill it on my main because I can kill it. So you're always going to get like 1 mil or 500k from it, which is pretty cool. So I do like that. What I don't like is there's no uniques that are specifically for it. It feels like kind of a random boss. Like it just feels super random. I don't like that it's like impossible to kill depending on who you are. Like on my iron, if I'm farming and it spawns, like, and no one else is going to be there to help me kill it, then it's just like you got to ignore it because it is it is really hard to solo. And I don't like that the buff only works with the amulet because the amulet's like super rare to get. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Also, it looks like you can see his penis, which that's funny. Just because it has the ancient symbol and it's going directly through his body. And the part that sticks out is like this like staff. And it really like Jagex. Go look on the wiki. You can that Jagex did it on purpose. His schlong just hanging out there. Yeah, there's the boss. Anything you want to mention? I do like Revenants. I think it's like all right.
Yeah, I'm just the whole time you're talking, I'm trying to think of what it would take to make this better. Because it's just so hard with PvP because it's like
that's the thing.
The second you make it worth killing, there's just going to be PKers. The second so I don't know, it almost has to be bad, but I don't know, maybe if like they can make it so that when you start attacking it, that you get immunity from PKs or something, but that wouldn't really work. I don't know. This is the conversation around Wrathmaw, it's like this idea of like a really important PvM boss out in the wilderness that's meant to be multied. I know we have that with the wilderness bosses, but that they have mechanics in there to like escape and stuff. But these like open world bosses that, yeah, it's like the second you make it worth going to for a PvMer, then it's just going to draw the PKers in. Yeah. And so it's like I almost don't want them to make it better. I don't want it to have its own unique items and stuff. And so it's just this, it's 2026. We've had old school RuneScape for 12 years and the Jagex still hasn't figured out what to do with the wilderness. I don't know.
Soon enough, hopefully. Though the thing is too, is like when it spawns, if you're hopping worlds, it'll tell you, hey, the Rev boss is in here, and actually here's an arrow pointing to where it is. So like, it's meant, they did make it so PKers can hunt people looking for the boss. But I don't know. Like I'm always maybe toss a pet on there. I can see myself maybe trying to hunt it, but yeah, it's Anyways, what do you think? Is this a smash or a pass?
I have gotten 1 KC of it on my Iron Man. I think it took 3 trips because I didn't even know the mechanics. I just kept taking damage and then I would teleport out or I'd like run away and come back. And I was just the whole time, it's like, please, nobody else hit it. Yeah. And I did get 1 kill, but no, absolutely pass. Even if I enjoyed PvP, I don't think I would like this boss. And I hate PvP. So yeah, it's absolute pass.
I actually don't mind it. I'm going to smash it. When I was doing a big Revenant grind some odd time ago, and I did get excited to see them. I'd run over, because I'd want the buff and stuff, and I'd go grab it. But yeah, it is really tough. He does a lot of damage if you're soloing. You're gonna be sipping a lot of brews. I feel like I did. It was a long time ago, but yeah, I don't know. It's weird though, because part of me does want to pass on it, just because like Jagex doesn't even really consider this a boss. It calls it a demi boss, and I don't even think there's a high score tracker for it. So it's like, okay, so it's the only one that's not going to be featured.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like Jagex doesn't really even think of it, but I'm gonna smash it because I do like the revs, and I would get excited when it pops up, and I'll go hunt it down on my main. But yeah. Okay, so we got through it. Those were like, I don't know if they were all like kind of were those stinkers? Did we go through some stinkers when it comes to bosses?
No, I don't. I mean, it's a weird kind of, yeah, this was a weird assortment. I mean, taking the Maledictus out of it, that doesn't even count. But like those 3 very like in-game bosses, very PvM heavy, like difficult to kill bosses. It was an interesting little run for him.
It almost seems like Jagex is having like this is like a turning point for them, because after today, we're going to be talking about next Smasher Pass is going to be Tombs of Amasket and the Phantom Muspa. But then after that, you got the Desert Treasure bosses. We got all the Varlamore stuff, and like all those, it's like a new age of bossing where
wow, that really is. Yeah. Amasket, the next one. Yeah. So that, I feel like that really is the turning point, because the bosses post TOA feel so different. And even taking into account that the stuff, everything we've talked about today has been changed post TOA. Like Hunlith has had the sound added for when it switches attack styles. Nightmare and Nex have both had their mechanics tweaked. So like this was a big turning point in the like jankiness. These are the kind of the last era of really janky bosses.
Yeah, or like there's like. They're like 90% of the way. They're like, we're both like, oh, they're so like Nex is, the uniques are great. Like they're like so close to getting it. Like Gauntlet, like the core idea is cool, but the Nightmare, awesome vibes, but the drops aren't quite, you know what I mean? Like they're all like 80% of the way there, or 90% of being like just knocked out of the park. But next week we're going to get to Tombs of Amasket, where everything is perfect. Yeah.
Womp womp.
Excited to talk about that one. But I guess, let's wrap it up there. I got to take a leak, but Trey, it's good to be back. I had fun doing a Smasher Pass. There's so many new bosses that have come out as well that I'm excited to talk about, tons that have, I'm looking at my list here and it ends at Royal Titans.
Oh, wow.
So, Doom's not on there. Yama's not on there. Brutus Good old Brutus isn't on there. Yeah, so we got some really fun ones to visit down the road. But yeah, Trey, any final thoughts before we say goodbye to our lovely listeners?
No, it feels good to be back. I'm glad to do Smash or Pass again. I think this has been my favorite thing that we've done on this podcast. So I'm loving it.
It is fun. I like doing it. Let us know what you guys think, of course. And yeah, tell us what you guys think about the bosses. Do you agree? Do you highly disagree? I want to hear it all. Yeah, let us know. And if you want to join the Clan Wild, join on in. If you want to join Discord, we don't have that unique URL right now. So there's going to be just like a link in the description you can click, unless I forget like I did last time, but I won't. And then our email is TheWildernessPodcast@gmail.com. We do have a SpeakPipe link that you can leave messages and voice calls for us. That's in the description as well. I love those. Always listen. And yes, we do have a certain bus driver or beeper, whatever. I know he's waiting for us to play his.
Oh,
Bus Go Beep. He sent one in. He sent us a message. He says, "When are you guys gonna play it?" So I'm thinking next one. Yeah. And our music. Let's do the Nightmare of Ashiyama music because it's so good.
Because it's so cool.
Oh, it's the best. So we'll play that leading us out. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.